For decades, the Swaggart name has echoed through Christian households worldwide, promising hope, faith, and divine purpose. Millions tuned in religiously to watch Jimmy Swaggart Ministries (JSM), believing they were contributing to the work of God. Yet beneath the grand promises and emotional sermons, a chilling reality unfolds: the dark financial manipulation of donation funds by Francis and Donnie Swaggart. Millions of dollars flood into the Swagot Empire every year, under the banner of gospel work. People give in faith, some donating their life savings, retirement funds, and last pennies to what they believe is the mission of Christ. But countless whistleblowers, ex-employees, and financial documents reveal a horrifying misuse of these funds. The Swaggarts did not merely mishandle money, they allegedly siphoned it to fuel their private luxuries. Frances Swaggart, presented as a humble, God-fearing woman, has been exposed for her obsessive spending habits. From designer handbags worth thousands to rare gemstone jewelry, Frances's shopping sprees stretch from Louisiana to international boutiques. Multiple insiders reported her personal assistants would arrange private shopping trips funded directly from ministry accounts labeled General Ministry Needs. Meanwhile, Donnie Swaggart, Jimmy's son, cultivated a lifestyle few could imagine. Churchgoers gave out of sacrifice, yet Donnie flaunted sports cars, owned a lavish mansion labeled locally as a rockstar palace, and even invested in personal entertainment luxuries like private home theaters and custom-built pools. All this, while publicly preaching simplicity and spiritual focus. Investigations into tax records and financial statements reveal glaring disparities. The funds designated for outreach programs, orphanage support, and church construction projects either vanished or were vastly underdelivered. Former ministry insiders confessed that grand fundraising campaigns would end with a fraction of the promised work done, and the bulk of the cash diverted to cover administrative costs, a coded term for the family's lavish expenses. A major point of contention remains the use of what's called restricted funds. These are donations specifically marked by givers for distinct purposes, like missionary trips, church building, or helping the poor. In the case of JSM, records show restricted funds often ended up covering private jets, hotel suites at five-star resorts, and personal leisure activities for the Swaggart family. Employees who dared question these practices were swiftly silenced. Several former workers shared testimonies about being threatened, fired, or blacklisted within Christian ministry circles for speaking up. The toxic culture within the JSM headquarters reportedly fosters fear, rewarding blind loyalty while punishing truth-tellers. One whistleblower shared, "We had people calling in crying, giving their last dollars, believing they were sowing seeds into God's kingdom." Meanwhile, Francis was getting weekly spa treatments, and Donnie was expanding his home. It's the biggest betrayal of faith I've ever witnessed. Even more shocking are the alleged internal bonuses. Around every major fundraising telethon, certain staff received massive bonuses, but only the upper echelon, namely family members and their inner circle. Lower-level workers continued with minimal salaries, while Francis and Donnie reportedly earned multiple six-figure compensations annually, supplemented by unreported perks and benefits. Several Christian watchdog organizations have called for a thorough IRS audit of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries. Yet, due to the complicated nature of religious non-profit tax structures, JSM has remained elusive from full financial transparency. They operate under a religious exemption status, allowing minimal public disclosure while accumulating vast wealth. The Swaggarts have long defended themselves, citing the prosperity gospel, the belief that God blesses his servants materially. But thousands of former donors now call it manipulation, a twisted doctrine used to justify excess at the expense of the faithful. Many ex-followers now feel spiritually deceived and financially robbed. Social media platforms are now flooded with stories of heartbreak. People report losing homes, falling into debt, and giving beyond their means due to Swaggart family's emotionally charged appeals. The testimonies all echo a common cry: "We trusted them with our hearts and wallets, but they used both for personal gain." Calls for justice continue to rise, with prominent voices like Morgan Sorensen, a biblical theologian since 1963, publicly denouncing the Swagot Empire. Momentum grows for a full-scale financial investigation. Sorensen boldly stated, "It's high time authorities step in and hold Francis and Donnie Swaggart accountable for the millions they've misappropriated from the people of God." In light of these revelations, the Swaggart ministry's decline in public trust becomes more apparent. Once packed crusades now have empty seats, telethon participation has decreased, and online criticism floods every social media post related to the Swaggarts. Despite efforts to suppress these scandals, the truth spreads like wildfire. This expose isn't driven by hate, but by a righteous demand for accountability. Faith communities deserve leaders who genuinely serve, not wolves in sheep's clothing exploiting their devotion for personal enrichment. The time for silence is over. Francis and Donnie Swaggart must answer for their actions, face the consequences, and restore the dignity of the gospel they so grossly tarnished. As believers worldwide re-evaluate their trust, one truth stands tall. Blind faith should never replace accountability. The Swaggart family's financial scandal is a warning to all: question, investigate, and demand transparency in every ministry you support. Stay tuned, because more shocking revelations are coming. The fight for justice has only just begun.